All right, so the first thing I need us to do, we are going to go to the diagram in your notes packet. Diagram in your notes packet, you're going to label testes. You can include the secondary word seminiferous tubules. Those are inside of the testes. You can include those if you want. So we're labeling this on the diagram. We're going to be kind of flipping back and forth. So once you have those labeled, we're going to go to the definition side of your notes. All right, so the testes. So the testes are a reproductive organ. What does that mean? It means they make our reproductive cells. So sperm and eggs. So we said ovaries make the eggs. Testes are going to make the sperm. So what do the testes do? The testes make sperm and testosterone. So sperm are the cells. Testosterone is a hormone. So whereas females, we talked about estrogen, progesterone. Females have some testosterone, but males have a lot more. And it's actually the Y chromosome in males that's responsible for turning on those testosterone genes and making testosterone. If we look at these two pictures on there, we can see that there's some little squiggly lines inside of the testes. So there's two testes, and they have squiggly lines inside of them. Those squiggly lines are where the sperm are being created through meiosis. So remember, cell division, dividing. And these are called seminiferous tubules. They're the little tubes in the testes where the sperm are produced. All right. And the testes are located outside of the body because sperm don't like it really, really hot. And our body temperature is actually too warm for those sperm to be made. So 98.6, our body temperature. So what happens instead, so they're away from our body where it's a little bit cooler, which is a better environment for the sperm. People who are trying to get pregnant, a lot of times doctors will say, don't go in hot tubs for the guys because really hot temperatures kill sperm. So it'll decrease their sperm count. So since we said that the testes make sperm, which by the way, sometimes you'll see it as testis, I-S. That's just one. Testes is two, so there are two testes. They make sperm, so now we have to talk about sperm. So sperm is the reproductive cell. What does that mean? Well, it's the cell that helps with reproduction. So we know sperm and egg. Those are the two reproductive cells. When are they made? So when can someone get another person pregnant? And that doesn't start until about teenage years, and then it continues for the rest of their life. So we were talking about how there are some really old people. You see this a lot in Hollywood with older guys marrying younger girls, where there's like an 80-year-old who's having a kid with like a 39-year-old. So sperm quality decreases. It gets worse as you get older. But people are still able to have kids when they're really old, if that's something they want to do. It's not like females or female birth where they go through menopause and they stop making eggs. There isn't a time where they stop necessarily making sperm. It just isn't as good, or there isn't as much. Sperm have 23 chromosomes, which makes sense. So 23 for the egg, 23 for the sperm. So a fertilized egg is going to have 46 chromosomes then. And whereas we said there was only one egg made each month, there are 10 to 30 billion sperm made each month. That's like a lot of chances of potentially finding an egg. I don't need you to memorize this number, 10 to 30 billion. I just need you to know it's a lot, like millions and billions. Whereas an egg, only one egg each month. And then they're going to live 3 to 5 days. So remember, an egg lives 24 hours. Sperm are going to live 3 to 5 days. All right, we're going to flip back to our little diagram. We're going to label some stuff. So you can label the epididymis. So epididymis, remember, epi means over, on top of, or above. So this is above the testes. The epididymis is where the sperm are going to like mature and where they're stored. So they first get made and then they go through this little extra step in the epididymis, but this is also where they're stored. So sorry, you're going to have to flip back and forth to write that definition. And then I'll just write I'll do a couple more here. But we've got, so the scrotum. So this is the pouch that's holding the testes, and that's going to help it. It doesn't necessarily have a function except for holding the testes and the epididymis is the scrotum. So you can see how it's outside of the body. And then you guys know from health class that we have the tube that's going to take the sperm outside of the body. So that whole long curlicue tube that connects from the testes all the way outside of the body is called the vas deferens. So just make sure those three are labeled, and then you can do the definitions. So the sperm is going to be made in the testes, it's going to mature in the epididymis, and then it's going to go through this tube along the way. And this tube, it's going to pass some organs. Right here. So we can see it passing some organs as it goes by, and we're going to talk about what those organs do. So here's our diagram. The first thing that I want us to label also on our diagram is the bladder. So this is the bladder. I point this out because notice the bladder connects to this tube. So sperm and pee are going to go out of the same opening, which is different than in females because in females there are separate openings. We're also going to label, let's just label these two things and then we can flip over and do the definitions. This is the seminal vesicle. It kind of got cut off, but you can see seminal vesicle, the word right there, and the prostate gland. So along the way, it's going to pick up some stuff. Semen, liquid, it's going to pick up here. So label those and then write the definitions on the other side. So both of these things produce semen or fluid. We'll talk about what this semen does, but I like to compare it to when we talked about blood cells and plasma. We said the red blood cells, it would be hard. They were kind of like inner tubes, and without the liquid for them to flow in, like in a lazy river, it would be hard for them to move. So the plasma is like the liquid. Well, sperm are the little cells, and so we need fluid for them to be able to swim in. So down below you have what is semen. I forgot one bullet point. You guys see how there's only 2 bullet points underneath there? There should be 3. So maybe just write, when we do our first bullet point, you can do it next to the question mark on what is semen then. So this fluid, so semen, what is it? It's a fluid that carries sperm. This fluid is really basic. So vaginas are acidic. Sperm don't like really acidic environment. They die. So this fluid is basic. Basic plus acidic is kind of neutral. So it just makes a better environment for the sperm to be able to survive. And then it also is going to have sugar or food for the sperm. And then once you have that, we're going to go back to your diagram one more time. We're almost done. So on your diagram, so remember the sperm is going to go, vas deferens is going to come pick up the fluid for the sperm, and then it's going to come out here. So we've got just penis is this entire region right here. The vas deferens turns into the urethra. You might be wondering, well, when does it exactly turn into the urethra? Great question. You could say it turns into it here, or just sometimes I just color like this, or I'll just say it's the ending part here. But we say it's from the bladder outward is the urethra, because remember we talked kidneys, ureters, bladder, urethra. And then this is the foreskin. We're going to label it foreskin. On your sheet, you have on the other side, you have the word prepuce. That's just supposed to say foreskin. That's the fancy word for it. We're just going to say foreskin. This is the skin that's covering the tip of the penis. A lot of people opt to, when babies are born, have this cut off the skin. And that is what circumcising somebody is cutting off this skin. It's generally like a cultural or religious thing to either keep it or to cut it off, remove it.